What's up, everyone? Aaron Negler here with Cheesehead TV with your Packers Daily Chat. The Green Bay Packers back on the practice field today, getting ready for the Thursday night showdown with the Seattle Seahawks. The Packers actually leaving this evening. They'll be getting to Seattle overnight and getting ready for what Julia has so aptly stated. This would be the perfect week to get that first road win. Absolutely. The Packers not able to find victory so far this season on the road. Desperately needed on Thursday night in what figures to be a mental test more than anything else. It's not a whole lot of time for install. You've got to deal with injuries. Obviously, Seattle's dealing with the same thing, but they have the luxury of playing at home. As Mike McCarthy says, they have the finest stereo system in the league. Hello to everybody. Cheers. Ryan, thanks for joining us. Warm greetings from Sweden. Dan, I hope it's warm there. Can we stop their run this Thursday? Whew. Arjan, I'm going to say no. I think they will get theirs on the ground. The key will be holding up in the red zone. At least that's the way I look at it. I do think they'll, stack the box at times, but you cannot commit numbers against Russell Wilson or else he's going to make you pay. I do think they're going to run the ball quite a little bit, meaning Seattle. It's just going to be about limiting their opportunities to score in the red zone. More three-down linemen this week to combat the Seattle run game. Brett, I would think so. Now, that's probably going to mean more Lancaster, although we did see Montravius Adams, flash a little bit against the Dolphins, but more than anything, it's going to be yeoman's work for those guys up front. Keep Blake Martinez clean so he can clean up on the running back. Ryan. We can be friends on Twitter anytime you want. Do you think that since it is a short week, Ron Zook's job was saved this week? I don't think Ron Zook's getting fired anytime soon, no matter how poor the special teams look. He's a coach in Green Bay, and Mike's loath to fire guys in the middle of the season. Alexander, re-sign Clay and Cobb? I doubt it highly on Cobb, maybe on Clay, but we'll see. It takes two to tango. Oh, Ryan, I like the guys in the MJS podcast. Has Jimmy Graham even in the game plan for the passing game? Funnily enough, speaking of the MJS, I think it was Tom Silverstein had a funny, not funny stat, an illuminating stat earlier today. He's on pace to be one of the most productive tight ends in the history of Green Bay. Now that says something about the tight end position in Green Bay, but I think he's been utilized, maybe not to the extent we thought we might see in the red zone this season, but he's definitely been in their plans. Are Seattle, Minnesota, and Chicago must-win games? I don't think Seattle is, but Minnesota and Chicago are going to be dire. They need to win those games if they want to keep pace and or start taking the division. Have to lean on Aaron Jones on a super short week, Michael. Couldn't agree more. What's the one area that we can attack their D? Funnily enough, I think the Packers wide receivers have a good chance to overpower their defensive backs. I know they've got some talent in defensive backfield, and they've gotten a little bit healthier there. But I think the height of MVS and EQ, they can put that to work because you got to think they're going to shade and roll things towards Devontae. This is another week where MVS in particular is going to have to step up. All games are must-win games. Julia, actually, no games are must-win games. World War II was a must-win. They had a really Debbie Downer feeling today. Are you talking about the Packers? I don't know about all that. Who is their running back stud? Well, it depends on their health. The rookie Penny looked really good against the Rams last week, but I don't know what their rotation is going to be. So you're saying we should start MVS in fantasy? Alex, yes, that is my recommendation. I will be doing so as well. Packers tied for number 1 in sacks in NFL. Please explain. Coverage. And Pettin dialing things up at the right time. It's never been a question of can they get to the quarterback, because we've seen them do that. A couple weeks ago, I tweeted out a statistic on pressure from NFL matchup, and my mentions lit up with, that can't be right. Oh, it's got to be due to this or that. Blah, 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 all these extenuating circumstances that had to mean that the Packers weren't getting pressure. They're getting pressure, usually because they're able to cover downfield. That has been the biggest change since Dom Capers was let go and Mike Pettin was brought in. They've been doing a pretty good job holding up, especially when teams try to go deep. Obviously, early in the season, you had the big plays on Bryce, but for the most part, that kind of action has been put to bed. And I'll be surprised if Seattle doesn't try it as well. I mean, you look at some of the names and some of the inexperience in the Packers secondary and you think, okay, this is an area where we can take advantage. I think Pettine's done a pretty good job of confusing quarterbacks, making them hold the ball a second or two longer than maybe they would like. Showing one thing, bringing another, etc. That all plays into it. Now, you'd prefer to have a little bit more talent at your edge positions, but hey, when you got guys like Kyler Fackrell taking an inside move and getting a big sack in the red zone like he did on Sunday, those add up. Whatever happened to slants? Jeff, Davante Adams caught a touchdown on a slant just on last Sunday. I hear you, though, especially on 3rd and short, 4th and short. I went back and watched that sequence earlier today, and again, long developing routes, not even a possibility for a check down on the 3rd down because Williams is kept in to block, and he does a good job, but everything's developing far, far downfield. Just on a slant, man. You got Davante Adams. You can beat anybody off the line of scrimmage. Would Jackson be a better fit at safety? We'll see how it plays out. It's a possibility. Maybe his eyes on the quarterback and not having to play man coverage as much as he's been asked to so far would limit the penalties and his being taken advantage of. Although I would say he was in a pretty good position a lot of the time on Sunday. He just didn't finish plays, especially the one that went for a big gain. That should have been an interception. He was in the perfect spot. You just got to make a play on the ball. Fackrell and Gilbert should be starting. I don't know if I agree with that, Ted. I do think you're going to see more and more Fackrell, but I wouldn't put Gilbert in there over Clay Matthews. No way. Are they working on screens more? Do you like Aaron Jones on screens? It was interesting. On the screen pass in that first drive, Jones knows. You could see after the play, he should have scored on that play. I thought they did a good job of setting those up. He needs to just be a little bit more patient. I think he got out ahead of himself a couple times on Sunday. But it certainly was a little bit more effective. Oren Burks to help with the run, that's where he struggles, actually. I think you saw after that first drive last Sunday, he got pretty much benched. It's been a real issue since camp, since they brought him in. You couldn't go a day this past summer without hearing one of the coaches just exploding on him to get off blocks, and that has not been corrected, so to speak. I think Jackson just had an off day. It's possible, Nick. Just move everyone to safety, then we'll all be happy. Ha, Brad. Why has Jamon just disappeared? I had high hopes for him. Theo, he's got all the talent in the world. Obviously, he struggled with the drops this summer. That put him in, I'm going to say the doghouse, but that definitely put him behind MVS and EQ. It's funny because MVS had some issues with drops as well earlier in the summer through the preseason, but those seem to have disappeared. Jamon just has been really up and down, or at least he was this summer. And for whatever reason, he hasn't been incorporated as much into the offense. Although it's interesting, there was a game at home a couple weeks ago where they clearly have something set up, a wide receiver screen set up to the left, and Rodgers specifically comes to Jamon on the backside, completion, and gives him a kind of a pep, clap, etc. Like, come on, that's right, you can do it. But getting second half of the season, it's put up or shut up time, and I don't think you're going to be giving out too many charity balls like that going forward. Do you see us bringing Geronimo back this year since he's a restricted free agent? Do you mean this offseason? I think, yes, they'll have him back. They control his rights, so I don't think they'll let him get away. As far as if you're asking if I think they'll bring him back off of injured reserve, if they make a playoff push, it's a possibility. I know a lot of people have been asking about Kumaro. I'm interested to see how they play that out. I think if they suffer one more injury at wide receiver, they're going to have to bring Kumaro up. But we should see Trevor Davis get called up this week. That'll be one spot, and then the other spot will be to be determined. Does 12 trust Graham? Matt, that's a really good question. It's funny because, as we talked about earlier, all summer long we talked about what a weapon he would be in the red zone. And we saw Rodgers, his first touchdown, in fact, I think his only drive in the preseason ended with a throw to Jimmy Graham in the end zone, and that was one of those 50-50 balls. He kind of threw it up, but it's in a game that doesn't mean anything. It's in a situation that doesn't mean anything. In live action, in regular season games, it sure does seem like he's a little more reticent to throw those types of balls up for Jimmy to go get. Now, all that said, that's just speculation on the outside. Who knows what's being talked about and what Rodgers is thinking, but the returns, what's put on tape, he's given him a few chances, and Graham hasn't come down with them, but it certainly hasn't been the kind of onslaught of red zone weaponry that I thought it might be. Dennis, is Cobb done? I don't think he's done, but I think he's dealing with a bad hamstring injury. He was not at practice today. It's clear that he's re-aggravated the same thing that was bugging him and kept him out for over a month. It's the danger with hamstrings. We've seen it time and time again. Guys try and push through it, try and come back a little too soon, and they re-aggravate it. I think they're going to have to sit him down for a good long while. Maybe they bring him back, last few games of the year, but I'll be surprised if he's out there anytime soon. Will Trevor Davis only be a return guy? I doubt it. I think they'll incorporate him into the offense a little bit. It's hard on a short week. He did practice a little bit. He did practice, period, last week. So you would think whatever they have planned for him, they started working on it last week. I can't imagine it's going to be a significant amount of snaps. Now watch, he'll play like 80% of the snaps or something. Is Perry out a blessing in disguise? I don't know, Andrew. The sad truth is maybe. Let's head over to Twitter. Let's see what people are saying on the old tweet machine today. Like G Fox. I like that handle there, Garrett. According to Roger Goodell, quote, "We will always make sure player health and safety is our number one priority in the NFL," unquote. With that being said, why are Thursday night games still a thing? You know the answer to this. Money, 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 money. Money. How you like that? I think we have some football karma stocked up in this stadium, and in this season, flea flicker Thursday night. Pretty please, Thomas. I do think if they're going to win this game, they need something to bounce their way. Whether it is a lucky fumble recovery, whether it's a surprise onside, a flea flicker, what have you, they need something out of the ordinary to go their way. They need to get some kind of break to give the offense another chance at it, steal a possession, get some more points on the board, because I think that's the way that this is going to have to roll for the Packers to come out with a W. Any chance Murphy treats this year as a lame duck year for Mike McCarthy, given the relatively bare cupboard talent-wise on the defense? I really like how the secondary and D-line have developed this year, but no, a new head coach could mean a new defensive coordinator. If you're talking about Mike McCarthy's job, I mean, Mark Murphy is the only one who really knows the answer to that question. I'm sure he will let the entire season play out prior to making any kind of determination. But you're right. If Murphy does decide to make a move, that would put Mike Pettin in jeopardy of losing his job, because whoever they hire to come in and be the head coach would undoubtedly want and receive, control over his coaching staff. Now, it could play out like it did in Chicago, where they went and got a new head coach and they maintained what they had on the defensive side with Vic Fangio. We've seen that happen a few times over the course of job searches. It could happen in Green Bay. But as far as what Mark Murphy is thinking when it comes to Mike McCarthy, he is the only human being on this planet who knows how tenuous McCarthy's hold on that job is. Ugh, hate when I do that. If Green Bay wants to win Thursday night, is it more important for the defense to make stops in the red zone, or Rodgers/McCarthy bringing the offense to life? Thanks. Oh, that's a tough call. If I had to pick one or the other, I'd probably say getting stops in the red zone, because I do think the Seahawks are going to be able to march up and down the field. I do also think that the Packers will be efficient enough in their run game that they'll be able to get Rodgers in position to score some points. But I do 100% think that if they allow touchdowns, and a lot, touchdown after touchdown, I don't know if they have the wherewithal to keep up. Especially in that building where when the Seahawks get a lead and their pass rush can just pin their ears back, it gets really, really hard to operate. All right, let's get back to the live chat, shall we? We have had Wilson's number as of late. Matt, in Lambeau they have. That's for sure. Am I the only one not impressed by Seattle? No, I don't think so. They've been a middling team just like the Packers. I think the Packers have the ability to win this game. It's just a really tough environment on a real short turnaround. It's a tall task this week. Don't make no bones about it. And I'm not sitting here thinking or telling you that Seattle's some juggernaut. They're not. You're right. They are a middling team, but they've still got a lot of talent, pretty well coached, and they're playing at home on a short week. That usually tends to favor said home team. Am I quite safe to spend my playoff money on Christmas presents? I don't know, Ted. I can't answer that for you. Sorry, buddy. Any news or updates on Kumaro? Nothing, Josh. I talked about him a little bit before, but with Trevor Davis coming off of IR, I'd be surprised if they made that move at all anytime soon. Julia, I love that this comment was hid. Oh, I can't. Wait, where's my... There it is. Hugh Jackson was signed with the Bengals, so no more assassination attempts on me. Thank you, Julia. Will Packers pick up anyone off waiver wire or just go with in-house players? If you mean this week, they'll be all in-house. They're not going to sign anybody, turn around and bring them to Seattle. It's going to be tough to win in Seattle. Yes, Dennis? Yes, it is. Seattle 3-2 at home this year. That is correct. I just hope Tony Corrente doesn't screw up. Aaron Jones, 20 carries? I'd go with the under. I think he'll get a significant amount of work, but 20 carries seems like a bit too much. Goot forces Mike McCarthy's stubborn hand by trading 88, getting Jones more snaps. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think it was all about the combination of everything that happened in LA and then Ty's reaction to it in the locker room. You throw all that together, and that's what got him traded. Is Cobb going to play? I would be absolutely shocked if Cobb plays. He wasn't at practice today, along with Kevin King, who I also don't think is going to play on Thursday night. Can Packers still get home field advantage for the playoffs? Katie, I mean, no. I was going to say, like, there's all convoluted, but no, it's not going to happen. Maybe they can eke out a home playoff game if they go on a undefeated run from now to the end of the year. But I don't see that happening. I feel like we can only lose one more game this season. Do you agree, Julian? It does kind of feel like that. I mean, who knows for real? I remember a couple years ago, was it 2013? It felt like, they were dead in the water every week. And then every week, the rest of the division kept faltering until Rodgers came back for week 17 and they won the division. I don't see Minnesota or the Bears stumbling like that this year, obviously, or like Detroit did a couple years ago to help the Packers out. But yeah, it does feel like one more loss is probably the breaking point. Raven Green and Tony Brown going to show the league what they missed out on in the draft. Mike, I hope so. You saw glimmers of it, and I've been talking Tony Brown up. I know a lot of people wanted him cut after his 2 penalties, his first 2 games that he played. You've seen the talent now. I think he can be a player. He's just got to keep his head on straight. But I like the energy he brings. Nice compliment to Jair. You just got to do it down in and down out. Let's see. Run the table. I hear you, Tim. Who knows? Run the table 2.0. Here it comes. Does Campbell play with the injuries in the secondary? It's possible. I don't know what their configuration is going to be. Perhaps they move Tremont back to corner and they put Campbell in there, or maybe they put Raven Green as a starter. I don't know who. Bryce was on a bike today, so maybe he's good by the time Thursday night rolls around. The lining up of their secondary and how they piece it together is going to be a great mystery, I think, right up until kickoff. Alexander, pick 6 in overtime, win 28-21, Alexander, Pro Bowl. I love it. I'm all in on that. I'm going to end it right there because that's the image I want to leave with. All right, thanks a lot, everyone. Make sure if you're here live, thank you so much. You can always use the hashtag PackersDaily if you can't make it live. I try to get to as many as I can on the old Twitter machine. If you're here on YouTube, please subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button on the video. Or the dislike button if you just hate me. That's cool. I understand. We all have opinions. If you're on Facebook, like, share, tell your friends and family. We do Packers content each and every day just for you, Green Bay Packers fans everywhere. And if you're in the mood, if you like what we do and you want to support it, please join our Patreon. We've got a lot of guys and gals signing up this week. I'm kind of shocked, but it's amazing that you guys care enough that you're here every day. We're devoted to you, Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.